Hello, everybody. Welcome in for another episode of Vol Club Confidential. I'm your host, Austin Price. Coming up tonight on the show, we have Tennessee women's basketball coach Kim Caldwell. But before we get to her, let's talk more about Knoxville Smiles.
Knoxville Smiles depend on us to make your smile better. Knoxville Smiles, are you happy with your smile today? Knoxville Smiles, we're all about smiles.
Hey Lance, what makes you smile?
Pancake blocks.
Coach, how are you?
Long time no see.
I know, right? We closed out season 2 with you, and now we in season 3 with you. Like 1 year later, what was this last year like? Can you recap it?
I'm just now getting to the point where I can kind of recap it. It was a great year. I'm very thankful for the team that I got to coach. I love them, appreciate them. I'm sad that it's over, and so this profession is weird. I mean, you don't get a lot of time to mourn the team you just lost, and you kind of just hop right into recruiting in the next season.
What is that like from a standpoint of, like, you know, you have players that leave via the transfer portal, you have players that graduate, and I mean, literally, you are a week later hosting players, trying to basically, you know, fill in the gaps of where you may have a hole or two on your roster.
Yeah, I think it's just a tough balance. And some coaches start recruiting early. I tried to enjoy every moment that I had with those seniors until they were no more. And then now we're back at it, and we're just trying to get better and continue to build on what we did last season.
What was the best part of last season for you?
I think the relationships that I got to have with the players, when you come up a level, and for me, I know it was just a really quick journey. You're Division II, and all of a sudden you're at Tennessee. You think maybe the players are too cool or too big time to have a relationship with your coach. And I mean, it was one of the favorite teams I've ever coached.
So you go back a year ago, you're taking over a program. You're the first non-Lady Vol to take over the program, right? Tennessee's been to the NCAA tournament every year in its existence. Like, I know deep down, you know, you probably feel like, let's just get to the tournament in year one and keep that going on. You do that, but you blow right past that going to the Sweet 16. Like, I guess from start to finish, what are you most proud of?
I think I'm proud of how quickly we did it. We finished the season top 15, and to do that in year one and have that be our foundation and the direction we want to go, and hopefully that's our floor. Hopefully that, you know, year one is maybe not the worst year you ever have, but hopefully we can grow on that. And I think that was what we wanted to do. That's what this team's focus was, of getting us back in the top 25, and they exceeded that. They got us back in the top 15, made it to the Sweet 16. They had a lot of fun doing it, and I think it's just a good body of work that we had year one. And again, I'll always be thankful to that class of seniors that came in and just did it right away.
It's such a fine line, right? I mean, you know, you could easily have been hosting the first 2 rounds. You just missed it by just a fraction. But then you're sitting there in the Sweet 16, you're tied going to the 4th against Texas. They end up going to the Final Four. Like, so I mean, like the margin for getting there one way or the other is super, super thin.
Yeah, about 10 points. And the obsession of finding those 10 points has already started. And so do we do that by better players? Do we do that by me being a better coach? Do we do that by different drills in practice? I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can get those 10 points back. Every player is 1 point better. And that's just the mindset that they have to bring every single day. And so how do we get those 10 points back? We only lost 1 game by more than 10. And so our season would have been a top 5 season in the country if we could get that. And so that's the goal next year of how do we just improve. It doesn't have to be a lot. We're not trying to find 30 points. We're trying to find 10. And I think that it worked out the way it was supposed to work out. It was heartbreaking that we didn't get to host. I really wanted to have that opportunity for our fan base, for our players to play in front of their home crowd. But I think God knew what he was doing because we got on the right path to be able to get to the Sweet 16.
It really is all about path and matchups.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's as important as anything. I mean,
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, look at Rick and them. If you look at like the way they've exited, the teams they've exited to the last like 5 NCAA tournaments, they've all either went at least to the Elite Eight or went to the Final Four of the championship game.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's, you know, getting that right path. When you look at the core group coming back, how much, you know, excitement does that give you? Okay, we've got some really cool key pieces coming back. Now we just got to sprinkle in around them, and you got that really good recruiting class.
Absolutely. And so the future is bright. I think our returners are hungry. They're focused. They have the right mentality. They stayed. They want to be here, which is huge. You in this day and age that you always have a little bit of turnover with the players that played, and our players that got minutes aren't leaving. And so I think that says a lot about what we're doing here, that we're having fun playing, that we're playing a fun style of play. And our freshman class that's coming in, we have 5 really good players that are going to be able to step on and help us right away, which is big for freshmen. And they're going to get that opportunity. And they don't get to be freshmen for very long because they're going to be on the floor. So they got to grow up quick. And so then now we're just looking for the right pieces out of the transfer portal that can come and help us really get over the hump and help us get it to the Elite Eight next year.
You have great belief in your system and how to run it. Did you find yourself like morphing it a little this year, or is it just like you ran it at every step of the way?
Just like we ran it every step of the way. Players are bigger, faster, and stronger, but nope, not a whole lot of change there. I think we can look at some changes going forward, but it's so much easier as a coach of do it the way you want to do it first and then change, as opposed to change and then going back to the way you wanted to do it.
So, I mean, everybody knows 5 in, 5 out and a lot of subbing, but when you get there in the fourth quarter and there's 5 minutes to go, at that point, does it morph a little?
It always morphs. I don't think people notice that it morphs, but it always morphs. I mean, there's times Talasia Cooper is on the floor longer than other people. Nobody just notices. There's times Ruby White.
There's also times where she didn't go in there at the end of the game against Texas.
Yeah, and she has her. You have your moments. There's also times where her and Ruby were just hacks and wanted to sit on the bench for the whole entire first half because they got 3 fouls. But you always try to leave your dogs on longer when you have to, when you need to. Maybe not in the non-conference, so everyone can get a turn. But I do think we'll be able to change that a little bit. I think as players get used to it, and as their motors develop, and as you recruit players that have higher motors, they'll be able to play a little bit longer. But again, this was the foundation. This was setting the standard, setting the tone. It's always easier to reel it back than it is to crank it up.
When you come in and you add a bunch of pieces out of the portal last year, were you surprised how quickly they were able to gel and play together the way they did?
Yes, I think it said a lot about our team of instantly. Where we had a lot of returners and we had a lot of new players, and you couldn't tell which was which. They got along from the very moment that we started to be around each other, and that's when I knew they were going to be special.
What do you think is the one missing piece to this team right now, going into next year? I don't mean player, but I mean is there a part to the game where you feel like we've got to be better in this area?
I think from last year, and I think it's going to be a completely different year, to be honest. I think just consistency. I think I learned a lot year one of just about the grind of the SEC, and I do think we were really beat up by the end of it. So managing load a little bit better, maybe not doing as much in the summer, just making sure our bodies stay fresher longer, and then just doing a better job of picking up on little things here and there, making sure we keep our excitement, we keep our energy. Because we had a point in time where we were playing our best basketball. I think we beat Connecticut, we went to LSU, we lost maybe by 4 at LSU, and then we won 3 straight home games, and then the wheels kind of fell off. And so doing some evaluation to figure out what exactly happened there and how it doesn't happen again.
Does that you talk about what you do in the summer, but does that also come back to the way you practice in season? Maybe not as hard on certain weeks where you have maybe 2 really tough ones.
Yeah, I think mentally and physically we could have done a better job. I think we were really hard on them after Florida, and maybe we shouldn't have. I mean, we won the game. It wasn't pretty. Maybe we won the game. So maybe if you're not as hard on them, then maybe we have a little more juice going into Kentucky, and then we didn't play well at Kentucky, so we were really hard on them there, and then I just don't think we ever really recovered.
That was the only game all year where you guys just didn't show up. Mm-hmm. I mean, you go back and you were right there against LSU, South Carolina, and that was a game. South Carolina kind of stretched it out, but then you all fought back in the fourth quarter and showed kind of some competitive toughness. And Connecticut obviously is the biggest win of the year, and they go on to win the national title. When you look back at some of those close games, which goes back to the fine line we were talking about earlier, it's yes, we did really, really well in year one, but we're really close to being even better. Right.
And it's two-sided. You can pat yourself on the back for it, or you can be really frustrated by it. For me, I was really frustrated by it because, those 4, 5, 6, 8 points are points I have to find a way to get back. And we weren't able really to do it last year. So we have all summer, again, with our classes that are coming in to figure it out.
This program in year one, the reception you got coming out on the floor and and from the former Lady Vols. What's that been like for you?
It's been unreal. I think the fan base here is unlike any fan base in the world. I mean, at anything, not college, like at anything, the dedication that Lady Vols fans have for their team, it's unmatched. And I think we finished 5th in the country in attendance. And a goal that we're going to have next year is we need to sell a couple games out. Yeah, and to sell that place out for a women's game is going to be amazing. But again, you talk about recruits, you talk about what we have to sell, what we have to offer, the best fan base in the country. And I think that, again, it's just the beginning.
I've been there when it's been sold out. I've been there when those UConn teams rolled in with Pat, and it had some energy this year, like that. It certainly did. That UConn game, you just had the baby at that point. We'll talk more about the baby growing up or coming up. But, like, after the game, I remember telling you, I'm like, it kind of worked out neat because you had that tornado in the area, so they wouldn't let anybody leave the arena. So, like, I know you wanted to go home and be mom, but then you also were able to, because you were stuck at the arena, able to spend time with the fans after what was the biggest win. Yeah,
and that was cool. It was really cool how many UConn things I signed. It was like, oh, okay, you switched sides. You're down here now. You're on our end of the tunnel. But no, that was a really cool time. I did want to get home. I thought that they were kidding when they told me I couldn't leave.
Well, I always say, like football, like there was a generation of, Brent Hubbs says this all the time, like his kid up until a few years ago, and Eli's now 21, I think, had never really seen Tennessee be good in football because they had that down stretch after Coach Fulmer was fired in 08, basically up until Josh was hired. Lady Vols haven't dropped off like that.
Correct.
But at the same time, like, the interest in somebody like Paige Beckers or somebody, one of those top players, Caitlin Clark, you lose a generation of kids because they just gravitate towards the flavor of the week player, right? Like, I think that's why you were signing things that were UConn.
Probably.
Because they're Tennessee kids that came because of they wanted to see Paige Beckers play, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, wow, Tennessee's pretty good.
Right, which was great. I mean, there was a point in time in that game where I looked across, and there were probably 7 little girls, and 4 of them had on Connecticut jerseys, 3 of them had on Tennessee jerseys, and I just remember, like, that's what basketball used to be. And so the game really has evolved, and when I was talking to our team going up to the Connecticut game, I asked them what the significance, what it was, and they really needed to be reminded because Kanaya Boyd, I think, was maybe 1 year old the last time that Tennessee beat Connecticut. So the rivalry, they didn't really understand it. And so really just making sure that they knew what we were playing for that day was important.
All right. I know what makes you smile. I always ask this as a break. It's that little son of yours.
Oh, yep. He'll do it. He's learning how to smile now, too.
Is that big? Are we into the Gucci Goo phase and all that?
Yeah. We have baby talk, and we try to make him smile as often as we can.
All right, more now on Knoxville Smiles.
I'm Tennessee basketball player JP Estrella. Let me give you a tour here of the offices at Knoxville Smiles. Dr. Costa is placing implants with a robot, and it's all done digitally. There's no guessing with this since it's all robotic. Dr. Wilco is the newest addition to the office. He loves to research the latest and greatest in technology, so the other doctors go to him for the newest product information and techniques. Dr. Malone is building teeth in the mouth. To him, cosmetic bonding is more like artwork. He does this without cutting your teeth down. It's all about building them up. Guys, we still have a problem. Do y'all have a bigger chair?
So when you were out here last year, obviously you didn't know Connor was going to be coming at that point. Like, when you found out, okay, we got one on the way, and this baby's due in January, what's the initial thoughts?
Oh, boy. It was not something we were expecting, and it was not long after we got the job. I mean, we hadn't even had a place to live at that point in time. We were still just in a donor house, and so very fresh after getting the job, we found that news out. And it took me honestly some time to wrap. I was excited about it. It was something I always wanted, but you really have to wrap your head around it because it's twofold. You're excited for your family. You're excited because this is something you always wanted. But part of me really felt like I let a lot of people down. I was hired to do a job, and now I'm not going to be able to do it the way I was supposed to do it. And so that was really hard. And Tennessee, our administration was phenomenal. I mean, I was terrified to tell Angie and to go and to tell them, hey, I'm fresh on the job, but guess what? I'm having a baby. And they were so supportive. The other coaches, Allison and Eve, they were very supportive because they have also gone through it. And so I mean, they just made my life significantly easier just by the support that they gave.
I remember getting a text and it was like, "Is Coach Caldwell pregnant?" And I was like, "I don't know. I've not heard that." And they're like, "That's the word out there." And of course, a week or two later, it was like, "Yep."
Yeah, I didn't really, your first baby, you don't know anything. But I didn't really realize that you don't show for a really long time. So in hindsight, I told the team well before I announced and well before the rumors were out. Because I was aware that the rumors were out, and I was like, I dare someone to ask me. Like, you do not ask a woman if she is pregnant if she is not showing. And so I was like, I'm going to see if anyone has the gumption to ask me if I'm pregnant. Nobody ever did, but I knew people knew. But I told the team well before, and they were great about it when they found out.
Yeah, they get to be like, ants.
Yeah. Yeah, they were
like
phenomenal.
15 different ants.
Yeah.
What was the hardest part of coaching while pregnant, going through all that?
I think in hindsight, the hardest part was just not being able to be around as much. And I was trying, especially towards the late half of my pregnancy. I mean, the flights were terrible, just how my legs would swell. And you have your athletic trainer that is there, and you have recovery boots on the plane just so you can get your shoes on. And we are traveling with a team doctor just in case I go into labor. I mean, so many people sacrifice so much just for me to continue to be able to work.
How many times did people bring up the Pat story about not landing and getting back to Tennessee?
A lot. And so thankfully we didn't have to have that. We had a doctor on the plane, and I would have, after going through childbirth, I'm really glad I did not go into labor on that plane.
You coach at Vanderbilt, then you came right back and night and went and had the baby. Mm-hmm. Like what was that experience like to go from court to that?
Yeah, it was a lot. I mean, at the time, I thought I was doing well. And then looking back now that I am out of it a little bit and kind of feel like a human being again, I don't have a lot of memory really of the game. And it was not a good game. But it was just a lot right there towards the end when I was about to pop and still trying to do both. And then didn't get to go to Texas, but I thought the team did a great job at Texas.
Was your plan not to miss a game? Because I thought, the whole time, like, she is like never going to miss. She's going to have this baby early in the week and then not miss. And then you had the flu during childbirth. Did that knock you out of the Texas game?
Yeah, the goal was to, and this is how obsessive and crazy I am, the goal was to have the baby and then go to Texas or wherever we were going to be and coach the game. And so once we found out, I was really going to try to go to Texas and maybe not stand. I know I wasn't really going to be great, but just to be there, be on the bench, be around the team, and not even really announce the pregnancy. I've just kind of continued to go and see how long it took for people to figure out that I had the baby. But I had the flu, and at that point in time, with the flu, I still had thoughts of asking if I could go and meet the team there. But you don't want to get your team sick, and you don't really want to just am I this important? No, I'm not so important where I need to go and just sit on the bench, be in pain, and get people sick, even though they had the flu too. I just didn't know it at the time, and not really help, and they did great without me.
What was it like to watch that game on TV?
Not fun. It was not fun. It helped. I do think it helped. I do think I got to sit with my mom and my husband and watch it from a spectator's point of view, which is always very different than when you're watching film clipped up or watching it after the game. You're watching it live. You're yelling at the TV like a fan would. And, I'm arguing with my husband of, like, we teach them this. We teach them this. And he's yelling, why are we fouling late shot clock? I'm like, we teach them this. And so just seeing things from a fan's point of view, I do think made us better.
When you, did you talk to the team at halftime? Was there any communication at all?
Nope. I felt it was best. I talked to them, sent them a message about what was going on. Again, my life has changed, but I am a private person. So being in the spotlight and all of this of having to answer to media at all times is a little bit different. So I did send them a text when I was in the hospital that when Connor had came, because he came pretty quick after the Vanderbilt game. It was early the next morning. He was here. And so I told them that and then sent them a message that I was not going to be at the Texas game and I would see them when they came back. And then they were great.
Walking back into the gym for the first time for practice. What was that? I'm sure they were like, oh,
Yeah, I mean, I was in a lot of pain coming back into practice, and bless their hearts. I mean, I probably had to coach in practice and sit for 2.5 weeks, maybe longer. I don't know. And it's just baffling to look back. I mean, to have your coach be sitting there yelling at you, like not standing, not in an aggressive, like I'm sitting there yelling at them on the sideline and they're listening. And I mean, I think that just speaks volumes to how dedicated they are.
Did it help when you had some older players like a Sam Spencer, you know, being like another little floor general out there to know kind of what you're wanting, you know, Joel Spear knowing what you want?
Yeah, and I think our seniors and our leaders did an exceptional job of leading for somebody that they haven't known very long. It is hard, and I try to be empathetic. I've had coaching changes where it's hard to step up and lead for somebody that you don't really necessarily know what the standard is yet. So they did a really good job of picking up on the standard and how to coach and how to repeat things and how to put emphasis on the right things in a short amount of time.
Last year we talked about what was on your wedding registry. What about baby registry? What's the best baby gift you got or Connor got?
That's a great question. We got a lot of great things, and we've been really spoiled by other coaches on campus, and other coaches in the league did such a great job of really spoiling us and making sure we had everything we need. I think the best thing is we have a bottle washer that washes, sterilizes, and dries, and so I don't have to hand wash any bottles. No. I heard that's the worst part, and I have not hand washed one thing.
You know, I maintain, you know, I'm a huge advocate for like short-term pain, long-term gain. In other words, like don't come out, like if you're having a second child, don't come out of phases. Like once you wash your last bottle and you don't find a bottle that's rolled under the couch and, you found it like 3 days later. Mm-hmm. Once you get out of that phase, you get out of the diaper phase, man, it's just like, whew.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's just a relief there.
We're still in all the phases.
Oh, yeah, and you will be for a while. What's the one thing that you know, your grandma, your mom, like that they've, you know, maybe relished this role of, you know, having been, you know, a great grandmother, and a great great grandmother.
My mom is a rock star. She was here from the time we had him till our season ended. She had to go home just a little bit, but she was just, I mean, I don't know how we would have survived without her being here and just helping, because when you have to leave and you have to get back on a plane not long after giving birth, it's hard to leave your baby. Mm-hmm. And it's way better when you're leaving with your mom. Of, all right, like I have the best mom in the world, so I know, all right, you're probably in better hands with my mom than you are with me, because she's phenomenal.
I joked with you like that, you know, Justin had the real boss move, you know, like, hey, Coach Barnes, you need a little help, you know.
Oh yeah, got right out of it.
Got out of the daddy duty.
Yeah, so now he can do both. He can probably get out of a little film, and then he can get out of daddy duty. He's probably on the golf course somewhere.
Well, you do live near one.
Yeah, we do. We know where to find one.
So let's transition back to basketball. I asked Ruby and Sam when they were out here. I said, you know, Coach Caldwell talks about, you know, you're going to get more shots even though you're playing less minutes. Mm-hmm. I said, have you found that? And they said yes. And I said, you know, do you become maybe the best recruiter for Coach Caldwell because you can speak to that? Mm-hmm. Like, have you been able to, now it's kind of like Coach Heupel in year one showing, once he got in, was able to say, hey, look what we did. Are you able to say, look what we did when you're talking to these high-end players, whether it be the portal or the high school ranks now? Are you able to show more specifics at a place like Tennessee more so than Division II area?
We have much better data. We can talk about how many shots Coop took. I mean, she took over 500 shots. That's a lot of shots in the course of a season.
Yeah.
And so people will want a negative recruit about the minutes and how many players we play. And I think that the fact that none of our players that play transferred says that it's fun. Not one person that got minutes is in the transfer portal, and a lot of schools can't say that, but our players are coming back because they like to play that way, because they're not put in a box, because they have a lot of freedom, because they are getting better, because the way we play requires skill development, and we want all of our players to go pro. But so, okay, we're going to make you a better basketball player because I'm not going to call a bunch of sets. We're going to play with space and pace. We need dogs in here. We need players that can create their own shots, that want to get better. And we can break down the transfers, so Sam's improvement, Ruby's improvement, Z's improvement, how much better they got in one season by making the transfer, and how their efficiency went up, how many more shots they got, all of those things. We have real data, and we can put it on a graphic, and we can show our recruits.
I think also, too, like Sam talked about, you know, I was a scorer at Arkansas. I came here, and I've learned to be more of a facilitator. Like, when you're recruiting a player now out of the portal, do you use her as an example of, hey, we can take your game? She was already a scorer. She still scored the ball here, but we made her
all around
passing
game.
better.
Yes, yes, and I think that is something that I'm really passionate about as a coach, of making sure everyone's all around game is better. Again, I want great players, not great plays. So I want you to be able to do everything without having to look at me. Right? I want to put you in situations that fail in practice. I want to make you uncomfortable, but I want you to go out there and I want you to get better, which means you're going to be really uncomfortable all summer long. We're going to be working on things you're not comfortable doing. You look at Z Spearman not shooting threes. Ruby Whitehorn didn't shoot threes.
She didn't.
No, she didn't want to. I mean, it was like pulling teeth trying to get her to shoot threes.
She made that one against Texas, and it was a rare pull because she just doesn't shoot them. She loves that mid-range game. She loves the elbow.
She does, and I think the most startling stat that we have is Z took 5 threes her entire career at Miami, and she took over 80. And she's going to be a pro. I mean, she's going to be on people's draft boards because we pulled her out and we developed her game. Same thing, Sam Spencer, of, hey, you were kind of put in a box. She didn't like to shoot threes. Her three-point shooting percentage was not good, and she was probably one of our highest. And so just making people better is really important. And again, everyone has goals at this level, and making sure that they get the skill development that they need to do what they want to do.
You're going to finish out the portal. And then you get to be a mom for a few months before it all starts back again.
I know.
Like what are these next few months like for you? And I mean, like you got what plans you got as far as I'm not gonna ask where you're going on vacation, but at the same time, like just be able to get away and spend time the three of you.
Yeah, it's been definitely a whirlwind, and we want to finish the year, and so the calendar doesn't really end until you finish your portal class. And so we need to make sure that we get home runs in the portal that can help us get where we need to go. Our freshmen that are coming in, again, they're going to be able to step on the floor. They're going to be able to play. We just need a few pieces out of the portal to really take us where we want to go. And they would have a great opportunity to be the face of a program that's really going to help us get back to where we want to be. And so finishing with the portal class and then taking maternity leave and just spending some time, and whether it's here or whether I go home, spend a little time with my family in West Virginia, wherever we are, just kind of getting that breather, a little reset before we get right back to it.
Well, at least you're getting all that time during the warm months.
That's true. That is a good thing about basketball season.
You get out and enjoy the nice weather.
Yeah.
Christmas. Was it different this year? I know that Connor wasn't here yet.
Yeah.
But was it different when you're an expectant mother and all the new surroundings and stuff?
It was different, but it was just knowing that how much different it's going to be next year. Next Christmas is going to be a lot more fun.
Yeah, Santa Claus.
Yeah,
it's an important duty.
Yeah, of course. Got the Easter Bunny coming up.
This is true.
Yeah,
the Easter Bunny is fun.
It is
the coming weekend. What are you embracing most out of that role? Because I mean, you're such a basketball person. You're such a basketball junkie. Like, do you let yourself get into those type of duties?
Yeah, I think with parenting, for me, I am probably the most impatient person on the face of the earth. Like, I don't have patience for anything. And with Connor, I do. And it's just crazy how that part of your brain just changes. And I just have patience with him. And even my husband says it, of you don't have patience with anything, and you are just so relaxed and easy and calm with him, which has just been good for me. God knew I needed that.
I have no patience on getting to the top.
Nope, let's do it.
All right. Well, she's trying to get there as quickly as she can. The Lady Vols had a great start in year one. Coach Caldwell, we appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.